Hey everyone, used to the time change is challenging. I'm tired. It's I think it takes around 4 weeks to adjust to a time change, something like that. Oh boy. Like this evening, I will probably be exhausted by dinner time. And I've got so much grading to do for that other class. And it seems nowadays that coffee doesn't do much for me. So my sister says something about have coffee, and I said what I said, it doesn't really help. She says, well, she drinks some that's super strong, probably more like espresso. I can't handle that. um but anyways, I think I have a few. I'm not saying it's any of you that haven't completed the midterm, which means I don't want to talk about the midterm. I'd have to double check because I don't want to. Let me look at the grade book, just make sure. You can send me messages if you want, email or something if you have a question about the midterm. But I remember last night looking and some hadn't. It says there's three missing. So three folks, three people have not, well, two actually have not. And oh my goodness. Let me reply to the student that's having trouble. But anyways, I'll get in touch with the two students who have not completed it, and then we'll, let's see. So she sent it to me. Okay, that makes no sense. Her screenshot, guys, says that um bless her heart, it's not supposed to be. She's having trouble, and I really hate that. So let me go. I don't understand. Let me send her a picture of what I see, because I don't understand why it says on hers the room disabled, because mine just has join the session. I love technology, but sometimes it's just, it can be a pain. Let me send her this. Thanks for your patience, folks, for your, if it were me, I would, I'm trying my best to help her get in, so. Aha, we have more people. Yay. Okay, thank you, James. I'll tell her that. Maybe she just needs to refresh her page is all. All right, so as I was saying, and I think more people jumped on, we have a few people who did not complete the midterm exam, and it should have been completed. Um, I think I had it set for like the March the 7th. So if you did not complete the midterm exam, make sure that you do. And I'm not going to discuss any answers because of a few folks not having completed it. We had several out the last time we met, And then I did the course, the class recap as to what we covered that day, and it's at an announcement. So if you missed the last time, then you should have reviewed the recap because I didn't record the session. Financial aid, you should have received it if you were going to. It usually takes place like a month and a half after school begins. Now, since we are after the break, we're after midterm. Midterm is before the break. So we are officially after midterm. So here's something that you need to know. If you want to withdraw from a course because you don't have the time to commit to it and you're fearful that you are going to earn an E, you're going to fail the course, you must request to withdraw through your student self-service, which is at your MyPath. I think it's at academics. You can also write a little blurb about, that you would like to withdraw and why. And then once you submit, it goes to the instructor to their email. The instructor now has the authority to deny you to the withdrawal because it's after midterm. And I don't know if any of you second semester students have encountered a situation where your instructor would not let you withdraw, but I can say from my experience here, most of us will allow students to withdraw after the midterm date and take a W for withdrawal. Any college level class, that's any college level class that begins, they all begin with a number, not a zero, count toward your grade point average. Okay? So it's important that you earn a good grade, a decent grade, a passing grade. Now you may think, well, if I get a D, I'm happy. Well, that D doesn't count as much as the C, the B, or the A. And we're not going to look at that today, but maybe next Monday we will look at how to calculate your grade point average based on your letter grades. A's count as 4.0, and then B's, 3.0, and anyways, you can calculate your grade point average if you know your letter grade and the points that allotted to the grade. And so anyways, you may be wondering, well, I get financial aid. Should I withdraw or take a failing grade? And so a W will look much better on your transcript than a failing grade. The E, it's the same thing as an F in college. Any questions so far about now you have to request a withdrawal and should I take a W or an E? Okay. Now, if you withdraw from a class that you need, and you should need all of the classes you've signed up for. Nowadays, you don't just randomly sign up for classes if you're getting financial aid. How many of you knew, by a show of hands, if you receive financial aid such as grant money, you are awarded a set amount for your entire college career, and that includes your associate degree and bachelor's degree. So you can earn up to a 4-year degree and you get a set amount of financial aid. That's grant money. How many of you knew that already? By a show of hands. Okay, thank you, Peyton. Larissa. Okay, so for the rest of you, James, thanks. If you use up your grant money dropping, withdrawing, or failing classes, you will have to find a way to pay for them on your own. Meaning, let's say you want an associate degree and you dropped, withdrew, or failed multiple classes that you needed. You'd have to take them again. So you're going to repay for those classes. You do it again, repay for those classes. The next thing you know, you're not going to have any grant money. You're going to have used up all of your financial aid, and then you have to find another way to pay for it. So some people don't realize that's how it works. You don't have an endless bank of financial aid money. You get a set amount. Years ago, there were people who basically just took classes to get the financial aid, and they became what kind of was like professional college students. It was a steady income for them, see? Well, folks, that money doesn't fall from the sky, okay? And so they decided, folks, not Big Sandy, but the financial aid folks decided, you know what, from now on, this is how we're going to do it. You're going to get a set amount of financial aid for your college career, meaning up to a bachelor's degree. Use it all up before you get your degree, you have to figure out how to pay for it on your own. Some people don't get financial aid such as grants because their parents' income is so high, and that doesn't mean it's a lot, okay? Some people just barely miss getting help. And my husband and I work full time, as both of us work for Big Sandy, and I'm an associate professor. I've got one more promotion to go to full professor, so I've been around a while. And I can tell you that our daughter will not get any grant money as far as Pell Grants in terms of financial aid, because they'll say that we make too much money. And they go by your gross amount, not your net. Gross is what you make before taxes. It's not after taxes and after your health insurance and all that stuff has been deducted. So a lot of people don't get the financial aid they don't have to pay back. They end up having to get the other financial aid, which is student loans. And you do have to pay back student loans. So make the most of your grant money, the money you don't have to pay back. Don't lose it because you've dropped. There's going to be semesters. It's just not going to be a good semester, maybe. Maybe you get sick or a loved one gets sick. Maybe you have to take an extra job to make ends meet, and you just don't have the time to devote to your classes, and so you have to drop or withdraw. It happens. You are allowed to do that up to a certain point, and then if it looks like that's all you ever do, then you will lose your financial aid. You'll get on academic probation, and to get it back, you'll have to do a student aid appeal, and it goes before a committee, and you may not get it back. It just depends. So it's, that's part of this class, is to make you aware of these things if you didn't already know. Now, scholarships. That's another kind of financial aid. Some of you you get KEYS money from high school, and that's determined on your grade point average. If you have an A, B, C, and you are awarded that money each semester. That's, a lot of students were not told or encouraged maybe when they were in high school. Some definitely were encouraged, maybe over the top with it. Make sure you get, you want to work for that KEYS money, work for the KEYS money. And that is so true. And we tell our daughter that. She's a sophomore now. And so there was folks who maybe just didn't know that they'd even go to college, and maybe high school, which they just wanted to get by. I've met a lot of students. I know these things are true. Students who said, I just kind of hung out in the gym. The teacher told me to go to the gym. Well, after high school, the student decided to attend college. They didn't really have any KEYS money. And, maybe they qualify for Pell Grants because of their parents' income or not. And then there you go. You got to get student loans. But remember, before our break, we talked about scholarships at Big Sandy. You should have been receiving for weeks now information about different scholarships at Big Sandy. April 1st is the deadline to apply. Today is March 15th. We looked on the website the last time we met. I showed you where to find the scholarship list. You also have information in your email. Unless you look to see what the criteria is, You won't know if you qualify or not. So often I think students who don't qualify for non-Big Sandy scholarships just assume they won't qualify for anything at Big Sandy, and that is not true. So many of our scholarships are easy to get, but you won't get them unless you apply. I can't, say it enough. Go for it. See what happens. You have nothing to lose by applying. And there's so many of those. I know not everyone was with us the last time we met, but there's tons on our website to look at. I feel like we almost beg people to apply for them. If we've got the money to give away, you don't have to pay it back. Unless there's a stipulation, if something comes up. But in most of them, you have to reapply every semester, but that's no big deal. Because they have to check to make sure you still meet the need. Because some of them say you must have a financial need. Okay. But we don't want to not give the money. Why have the money if it's not being used? So, curious, has anyone looked at the website since we last met, or looked at ones through the email, and you're thinking about going for it? Thank you, Larissa and Anna. All right. Great. I don't know about you all, but if it were me and I had the opportunity to get some money with very little effort when it comes to the application process and qualification criteria, I'm just going to let, I don't want to let myself allow myself to miss out on an opportunity like that. Okay, now, so we've already mentioned, financial aid comes out about a week or a month and a half after school begins, and Pell Grants, if you don't keep your grade point average, a certain grade point average, or if you drop, withdraw, or fail classes and you have to retake them, eventually, if you keep doing that, you're going to eat up all your financial aid money and have to figure out another way to pay for it. And some students just don't go back to school because they don't want to take out student loans. Okay, so they just never get a degree until their financial circumstances change and maybe they can pay for it on their own without a loan. Now, we've also talked about how loans are those things that if you stop attending shortly thereafter, whether you got your degree or not, they're going to ask you to start making payments. So let's say you earn your degree and you took out student loans. So it won't be long after that, you've been contacted to start making payments. Well, maybe you didn't land the position that pays well enough for you to also make your student loan payment. Your student loan payment will be around 10% of, if you can, what it should be is around 10% of your income. That's what you should be able to afford. Well, some people, instead of just taking out student loans to cover tuition and books and supplies, they take out more than they need because they want to spend it on material things that they couldn't, buy out of their pockets. So then they owe that money back too. So folks, if you take out student loans, make sure it's just what you need to pay for college, not for, a designer handbag, designer clothing, and department store makeup. And we know that students do those things. Okay, so I'm not just making this up. We know they take out money for things they don't need. They take the loan money, but all the same, you have to pay it back. And it just sucks because think about it. You have to pay back student loan money that you really didn't even need. You chose it because you have the opportunity to accept or reject the student loan money that's offered to you. I hope you're checking your student self-service accounts at least once a week, looking at your to-do list, your messages. You should be doing that weekly. Any questions about anything I've said so far? I know I've said a lot. Oops, we just lost someone. Some people are having connection problems. Oops. Now we're down to 4. We had 7 students. So let's give them a moment to jump back on. Okay, got one person back. Casey says left, so maybe she'll jump back in. All right, so if there's no questions about what I've talked about so far, let me move on to Module 1 of our career research project. So I got those scored. And here's something I want you to understand. When you submit an assignment, you need to double check to make sure it's submitted correctly. I've opened up some that were there were no answers, just the form. Okay, so if that happened, I left a note, it was a file without the answers and to resubmit, but it needs to be resubmitted by this Friday because that's past due. So always check to make sure your work submitted properly. Don't assume it did. There was a question about why do you want want the career and what qualities do you have? That's 2 separate things there in that one item. Why you think you would want the career is one thing, and then qualities, folks. When we think in terms of qualities, we're talking about maybe you have good written and verbal communication skills, organization skills, time management skills. Maybe you're a team player. Maybe maybe you're a compassionate person. I think you get the idea. But see, if you left that off, if you only answered why do you want the career and not that other part, because that item is worth 10 points. So if you left off the qualities part, that's another thing about following directions. Read them carefully, determine what you're asked to do. And this, here's the thing, everything we talk about in here, you can apply to all your classes because we're not going to have a college success class such as First Year Experience 105 and expect it to only be for First Year Experience 105. Because sometimes I have students who answer questions and it's solely based on this class rather than all the classes. So that person's missing the point of this class. And I know I'm repeating myself. I've said this before. So anyways, I did deduct some points if you didn't answer every single item. Now, you have resources if you change your mind about what you want to do, because two of the things here that we do this project for. Some students come into school thinking they know exactly what they want to do. They're set. Others have no idea. And while the career test isn't foul-proof, 100% proof, is a good indicator if you really took it seriously, when it came to the clusters. So maybe you researched and answered based upon a career from the clusters, or maybe you researched what you're in school for. Okay, so if you're in school to become a nurse and you researched all that information, you have it. If you are thinking about becoming a teacher, but you researched physician's assistant, and you know you don't want to be a physician's assistant, but you researched and found all the answers to it, you should have researched, something you really want to do. Because the sooner you understand or know what you want to do, the sooner you're going to be able to focus on taking the classes for that career. Now, the first 2 semesters, folks are really just working on their gen ed classes, the basics. So those go toward all kinds of degrees. So, but let's say there's students who get so far into, I want to be a teacher, and they don't really figure it out until the, 3rd or halfway through the 4th semester, and that's almost an associate degree. Look at the time and money the student has spent focusing on a degree they don't really want. So knowing what you want to do sooner than later can save you time and money. Because after that, if you're going full time your first and second semester, you're pretty much getting your gen eds out of the way, your basics. So then your 3rd and 4th semesters, you're focusing on classes beyond those, your electives. And when it comes to electives, you're looking at, okay, I'm going to transfer. And according to Moorhead or UK or EKU, these are their required electives, and I can go ahead and take most of those through Big Sandy, so that when I transfer, I've gotten, most of the 21 elective hours out of the way. And I know some of you don't plan to transfer. You're hoping for an associate or in science or arts. And here's another thing. Can't get a master's degree at Big Sandy. So if you said something like that, if you answered yes to you can get your degree at Big Sandy, and if it's beyond a 2-year degree, you cannot. We've established early in the semester, the highest we are is a 2-year institution. We are a community college. We do not go beyond 2 years. We have certificates and we have diplomas and we have degrees, but nothing beyond an associate degree. If you are in, James, you had your hand up? I'm sorry. And yes to your question, Larissa. Hey, James, did you have your hand up? Oh, okay. Now we established early on too that your technical programs, if you are not pursuing an associate in arts or an associate in science degree, you're not required to take this class, because technical programs have certain electives, and due to financial aid, it's called program applicability. Due to financial aid, if you try to take classes that are not on the technical check sheet, you're probably going to have to pay for them out of pocket. So if you're listed as welding or heating and cooling or automotive, those are technical programs and they do not require FYE 105. If you want to change your major, you can officially change it in student self-service at your MyPath. And once you officially change it, you're going to have to get a new advisor, because I only advise associate in arts and associate of science and science, okay? That's the 2 program areas that I advise. So I can't advise for heating and cooling. I cannot advise for welding. I cannot advise for nursing. Now, I can advise nursing, pre-nursing students who have not been accepted into nursing programs, the nursing program, excuse me, and dental hygiene students who you have to apply to dental hygiene, to nursing if you want those programs. They're called selective admissions, and respiratory therapy. Before you are ever in those programs, you are considered an associate in science if you want to be a nurse, a dental hygienist, or a respiratory therapist. That's what you're considered as associate in science until you are officially accepted into those programs. The selective admission criteria for our nursing program, our dental hygiene program, and our respiratory therapy program, that information is at Education and Training and Find My Program on our website, just like you guys had to go locate your program check sheets. Now, if you're hoping to get into one of those programs, it's always nice to look at the associate in science and the dental hygiene, if it's dental hygiene, nursing, or respiratory therapy, if it's those. Look at both of them, but like I said, the first couple semesters you're working on your gen eds, your basics. If you are thinking about getting your associate degree in nursing here, once you've been accepted and you complete the program, just like with dental hygiene and respiratory therapy, you will have to take an exam to become registered. So yeah, you can become registered with a 2-year degree in those programs. Any questions about selective admissions programs? I don't have the information memorized. That's why I tell you to go to education and training and find my program to look at those. Okay. So someone asked, could they resubmit if they need to module 1? And like I said, I just need it by this coming Friday. Sooner the better. And now we're going to talk about module 2 a little bit. Okay, so let me get to where I need to be. Module 2 of the Career Research Project. You've researched your program, found out all kinds of good information about it with Module 1, and now you know those resources are there if you ever want to go back to them to look up information about another career. I can tell you that the Occupational Outlook Handbook is pretty handy, pardon the pun, because you need to understand if you didn't check to see where the jobs are located, positions for where you want to live. We have so many students that complete Big Sandy thinking they're going to stay here. Well, often some of the degrees they've earned, you can't find anything here to work at. There's just not any openings. That's another big letdown, okay? Because you go through all the schooling, you get the degree, and then you can't find a position in Eastern Kentucky. So if you are not willing to move, you're stuck, right? So that question on Module 1, are you willing to move, is important. But if you don't actually look at the handbook to see, how many positions or the probability of employment, the job outlook, and then look in Eastern Kentucky if this is where you want to stay, because we've had students go, finish dental hygiene, and folks, listen, there's a glut, meaning so many of dental hygienists in Eastern Kentucky, so it's hard to find a opening. Now, nursing, you can always find a position in Eastern Kentucky and elsewhere. So, we have folks who already have homes. They're not willing to sell their home because of, they want to stay here in the home they have been paying on, or they were gifted or built on a piece of land that someone gave them, and they're not willing to leave. Well, why have a degree in something that you can't become employed in? That's why this Career Research Project 1 is so important. Another reason why. Now, the second one, Module 2, follows up because you're working toward a certain degree. You got to take certain classes, so you got to register for those classes, which is what priority registration is about, which began today. Let me pull this up, okay? Hang on. And then I'll share with you. And this week, I'm going to open up. Let me go to share. I'm going to open up the journal activity. So you all were supposed to be busy preparing for priority registration prior to now. Ooh, that doesn't look right. Okay, now let me do it. And I have step-by-step directions for how to do that if you haven't already. Okay, it says I'm sharing, so what you should see, if someone will speak out and let me know, it says that I'm at Module 2, Priority Registration. I can't see if you're typing, okay, because all I can see is the screen, so I need someone to say, yes, I can see it.
Yes, I can see
it. Thank you. All right, so you should have already worked on this one, okay? Because now my journal assignment is based on this. And we've had, students that'll I'm like, no, you can't skip those steps and then expect to be able to answer, the journal assignment, the follow-up assignment. But, I work with the librarian, Judy Howe. She's also the director of library services, Professor Howe, and there are steps. Most of you have probably already done this. The last step, let's look at the first one. Why not? Check your PeopleSoft account. That's at Student Self-Service at MyPath. You all were supposed to locate your program check sheets. And I also mentioned that those of you who began fall 19 till now, you're using an updated Associate in Science and Associate of Arts check sheet. Those check sheets are not on our website. The old ones are for people who came in before fall 19. So anyhow, you find it, then you download it if you're because like criminal justice, the nursing, even though you guys are not in the nursing program, and the others, everything else but AA and AS, you will find there. I don't think I have anyone in this class that began Big Sandy before fall 19. So all of you AA and AS students should have asked me if I didn't, or did I put that on there? I don't remember. For the new check sheet. And once you have your check sheet, you put in your name, your student ID, your assigned advisor, and then you mark or write in all the classes that you've taken. Maybe because some of you are second semester, so you took classes last semester, you could write down those things and the grades and all that, and then you would write in the current classes that you're taking right now. If some of you had, if you took classes in high school that, we accepted at Big Sandy, those go on there. 0 level classes that begin with 0, you don't put on there because those are not college level. And then, of course, this class is an elective class, and it goes under electives. Okay. And notice what it says. It says you can, save it after you've got it all filled out. You take a picture because let's back up. When you see on your check sheet all the classes you have passed and your current classes, and you plan that you're going to pass your current classes, you can plan for summer and fall if you're going to be here. Okay? And that's how you have an idea of what you're going to take, so that when you do meet with your assigned advisor, you're not just sitting there across or, from your camera, because a lot of times now we're doing advising sessions either by email where you don't see anyone, you just correspond back and forth through email, or you're like in Zoom or Microsoft Teams to where your advisor can see you and you can see them, and it's just whatever works. And some advisors, they're going to let you come to their office. You just have to make an appointment no matter what. But anyways, when you see what you've got left to take based on what you've already filled out, you can make a plan. Well, okay, I still need to take college algebra. I need to take another biology class. I also am going to take more electives, and you have a good idea before you ever meet with your assigned advisor. You should always be involved in the advising process. You shouldn't just expect to sit down and your advisor takes over. Now, some advisors may prefer that because it seems less tedious and, less complicated, but that's not how I work. And that's not how most of us work. Okay. And when your first semester, someone probably did that because you were a brand new student. But you need to know your program requirements and you need to be engaged in the process by being prepared to meet with your advisor prior to the advising session. So anyhow, once you've got your check sheet, it says you can take a picture of it and upload it. But now I'm going to say I didn't actually require you all to do that this time. But like I said, this week you've got a follow-up journal assignment, and I'll be able to tell, who actually did what they were supposed to do. Number 3 says if you change your mind about your career during the semester, please make sure you officially make a change in admissions and records. So if you cannot change it in your student self-service at MyPath, then you'll need to stop by an admissions office and change it. The last thing, it says make an appointment with your listed advisor for priority registration. The sooner that you meet with your advisor for your upcoming semesters, the better, because our classes fill up fast. And as we talked about last time, students talk about teachers. And so there are some favorites around here. And if you want a certain instructor for math or writing, biology, the later you wait to register, you're basically decreasing your chances or increasing your chances, sorry, for not getting what you want. Okay, so you start out by emailing your assigned advisor for an advising appointment. In the subject line, you would just simply put advising appointment, and then of course you will follow the email etiquette guidelines. Dear Professor or Dear Mrs. or Mr., and then make sure you write in complete sentences for the message. I would like to schedule an advising session at your earliest convenience. Please contact me with availability. And then a closing, thank you, comma, your first name. I mean, we can see who it comes from as long as students use their KCTCS email. We know where the email comes from, so you don't necessarily, if you want to include your last name, that's fine at the closing, but just be professional. I'm afraid that some of my FYE students, and I've had a lot over the years, outside of my class, they maybe just email their other professors like they're text messaging. That's not how it's supposed to be. You want to make a good impression, and if you ever need a job reference, then you may have to seek references from former instructors because you haven't worked a lot to be able to ask prior or former employers to write you one. Okay, so if I remember that I got sloppy emails that I could barely make out, I'm not going to be able feel good about a job reference. And I would look at other things too. I'd look at, did they turn their work in on time most of the time? Did they take pride in their work by trying to do it neatly, and so on. Okay, now after priority registration, it says turn in a printed copy of your schedule. And this was like, most of the time I meet in a classroom on campus. So, we didn't change it this semester where I don't meet with you guys on campus. And that's the reason it says that. But here's the deal. Once you've gotten your schedule for next semester, whether it's summer or fall or whatever, both, then you can take a picture if you want with your phone and upload it. I'll have a place because yes, it does count for points. It's not due right now because I knew folks would need enough time. But I have to have it no later than week 12, and we are in week 9 now. We don't count the break as a week. So we are officially in week 9 of the semester, and there's 16, weeks. But if you've already gotten your next semester schedule, that's great. That's great. If you have not followed these steps and sent an email to make an appointment with your assigned advisor, you need to right away. Now, let me see. I want to see if Judy updated the check sheets here. I got to go back in to collaborate. All I can see right now is what I'm looking at from the presentation, and I'll be right back in to look at the text or chat message. Yay! Okay, let me show you something here. Let me go see about the message. Okay. Okay, great. So some of you already have your schedules. And I hope that you went through what you were supposed to and didn't go back to just anyone in admissions and say, I'd like to make my schedule for next semester, because that defeats the purpose of this assignment. We don't want students to just walk into admissions and find someone to make them a schedule. We want you to see your assigned advisor, and we want you to have planned so that when you meet with your assigned advisor, you know what's going on. You have a say. If you didn't do that this time, you really do need to do that from now on out. Anna, I see your hands up. Do you have a question?
Yes. For when we get our next semester scheduled, does like the summer classes count, or would we be talking like next fall semester?
You can, absolutely. You can use summer if you want, because maybe you're planning on transferring in the fall. And I have had students, that's a good question. I've had students who say, well, I'm not going to Big Sandy in the summer or the fall. I'm going to just, go on to Moorhead or whatever. Well, what I have them do is do a mock schedule. I actually have them go to the college they plan to transfer or university, whichever, and find the program there, because it's on the website as well, just like we have ours. And they have to look at, and based on what they've taken with Big Sandy in past, they have to look at what they will, have left there where they plan to transfer, and they have to come up with a plan, if you will. But it's just, and then they at least need to do that to get the points. I've also exempted some students from the points because they aren't going to go anywhere. They just plan to sit out. They're not going to transfer. I don't think anyone in here is planning to just sit out yet. No one's told me that. Okay, but yeah, good question. Absolutely, I'll take your summer. Some people do summer and fall. They submit both, but if you're not going to be here in the fall, but you are going to be taking classes in the summer, then yes, I take the summer. But yeah, notice here, Judy did update it. So, you should be looking at, if you're associate in science or associate in arts, these are the two that you look at, because we don't have the updated versions at Find My Program. And then the course catalog, if you're unsure, you say, okay, I want to take HUM 220, Humanities 220, and you look it up, and it's Appalachian Studies. You look it up in the catalog. Remember, you had an assignment on the course catalog. You know where to locate those. But if you click this, it'll take you to our catalogs, and they're dated by when you started Big Sandy, okay? And you basically go to the table of contents, and you will see course descriptions, and you select it, and they're in alphabetical order. So you would go to the H's until you find HU, and you will locate that HUM 220, and you can look at it to see what it involves, if there's any prerequisites, meaning what do I have to have, if any, before I can even register for the class. Okay. So I'm going to pull up, let me stop this one, pull up one moment and show you the new updated, if you didn't look already. Probably did. Found it. Okay. So this is our, goodness gracious, where'd it go? Someone speak out and tell me you can see that I've got the Associate in Science check sheet pulled up.
I can see it.
Thank you. Now, so this is the updated version that anyone who began fall 2019, since then, during that semester or since then, this is what you use for associate in science. So you put in your, your name, you just type it in, your student ID, and you can leave this blank for now. Your career goal, what do you want to do? If you plan to transfer, where do you plan to transfer? And then the date that you completed it. And again, we've got, these first two categories are your gen eds, your basics. And so the cool thing about this check sheet and the updated associate in arts is that it's digital to where you can type on it. You don't have to try to figure out, okay, well, what is written communication? What classes are involved? Of course, that's English 101 and then 102. You need 6 hours. Those are 3 credit hours a piece. But you go here and check this out. You got a drop down, and it tells you what qualifies here. So if you've never taken 101, you put that in. You go here and check this out. It has the semesters. So let's say you want to take it this summer. You have to scroll down. Summer 21. 3 credit hours. You have to actually type that in. Okay. So that's what I love about the new check sheets is that they're digital. So because before you just have to handwrite everything in. Any questions? I just wanted to make sure she did put the new ones on there for us. And down here, it was 21 electives. So if you want to graduate at Big Sandy, besides the first 2 categories, you have to complete this category, which is 21 electives. And if you plan to transfer, you need to look at what the electives are there so that you can take them while you're at Big Sandy. See, FYE 105 is already on here because it's a required elective. So obviously you guys would put in here spring 21. And then you haven't gotten a grade yet. It is 3.3 credit hours, but once you're finished with the class, you can use a check mark. Oops. And then over here, you could put in your grade. And our check sheets always say here toward the bottom, degree requirements. Our degrees, our 2-year degrees are 60 hours. There's 60 hours at other colleges and universities. That's what a 2-year degree amounts to. You have to earn a minimum of a 2.0. That's a C average at Big Sandy. 15 credit hours must be earned at Big Sandy to graduate from Big Sandy. So let's say the other 45 hours came from other places. That's okay, but 15 of them have to have been earned here. We also require a cultural studies course and a digital literacy demonstration of digital literacy. A lot of you took CIT 105 or you took a computer class in high school that we like a dual credit. And then see this, completion of a college success requirement, that's FYE 105. That's our college success class, or it's our college success class, excuse me. So our AA folks and our AS folks, you guys should have used this. You should have put in all the classes you have passed from last semester or previous semesters. You should have put in all the classes you are currently taking with the semesters, the credit, and like I said, if you passed a class already, then you could put the grade over here. If you failed a class, it doesn't go on the check sheet. You have to pass it to be able to count it. Some people say, well, I don't know what quantitative reasoning is. That's your math classes. And again, with the drop down, you're given the option. You can, if you don't know what, let's say Math 160 is, then get it, go to the college catalog and go to course descriptions and read about it. All right. Let me stop sharing there. I don't mean to confuse anyone. I'm here to help you. Anytime that you don't understand something, I go over and you don't want to ask in class, email me. That's what, and I have students who email me and say, I'm sorry to bother you. So, and then I'm sorry to bother you again, same student. Folks, you're not bothering me. That's what I'm here for. You may email me when I'm asleep. I can't get back to you until I'm awake, and it's, most of the time I'll answer outside of my office hours. But I don't have to. I choose to. It just depends on what I've got going on. And this semester is crazy. Thank God I feel good. I have some symptoms lingering or some things that are going on with me as a result of having COVID, but it's nothing I can't deal with. But I tell the students who say they're sorry all the time, I'm like, you don't have to be sorry. I'm here to help you. You're not bothering me by asking questions. I wish all students ask questions when they have them. A lot of times y'all have questions, but you won't ask. And that's never a good thing because, what you don't know can hurt you. But I get it. You don't want to ask in front of your peers, so just email me. You can call me. I didn't go to campus today. I didn't have to because I can do this class from wherever I am. I intended to go to the Mayo campus today, but our washing machine went crazy over the weekend, and so I figured I needed to find someone to come and repair my washing machine today. So that's the reason I stayed at the house after dropping our daughter off. But if you call me, I'm not at my office to answer the phone, so just email me today. Any questions before we? How many of you, or did you have a difficulty locating your assigned advisor? I've had some students say there's nothing in their student self-service that shows an advisor. If you have any holds on your accounts, you won't be able to register. Maybe it's a business hold. You haven't made payment arrangements, or you've missed, I don't know, maybe missed something there. So you actually have to go through the business office. If you go to your student self-service and it says there's a hold on your account, you need to find out why. If you are a student success advisee, you have a student success advisor. Okay, that's not a bad thing. I did that until after this summer, and then they said we're not going to utilize you anymore for that student success. You're going to just go back to the other. Maybe you haven't submitted your high school transcript. You just started this semester and you haven't submitted it. You could have a hold on your account. That's why you've got to check your student self-service to-do list and for messages. All right, so what I'm going to do is, just a second, open up this week and open the journal and some other things. And before I let you go, I want you to understand that on the case studies, in case you missed me saying this, as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you get the full points. So if you don't reply to classmates, and I told you to, you lose points. I cannot judge you based on your answers because I just want you to think about the situations and try to come up with some solutions and reasoning behind them. I'm trying to basically get you into the mode of critical thinking, and you're there, you are, but you got to do it all the time in all things, school, life. And so employers really want students who are able to problem solve. You shouldn't wait to be told to do something all the time. And we do have a big issue with a lot of our graduates, like a big local hospital. I better not name names. Said, we will hire Big Sandy graduates. The problem is they lack soft skills. And those are those very important skills such as good written, good verbal skills, organization skills, time management skills, team player, be a team player, not just a numero uno kind of person. Problem solving. Okay, a lot of people say, well, you didn't tell me to do that. I shouldn't have to tell you to do that. You have to take initiative to do things. See what I mean? So I'll go ahead and open up the assignments for this week. Check your grades. If there's something I accidentally overlooked and didn't score, or you submitted late and didn't get a score for it, just kindly let me know. Don't just assume I gave you a 0. Okay? I'm not hard to get along with. All right, folks. Have a great afternoon. Bye.